Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Success Coaching Live. My name is Eric Reid. I am your coach, and today is Fun Friend Friday. Love this. Love the idea that today is Fun Friend Friday. We have not been doing a Fun Friend Friday for quite a while, and so it's kind of fun to get back into it, to start lining up guests again. And so if you've never been a part of a Fun Friend Friday, welcome to your very first not your one and only. We're going to do hundreds of these, thousands, millions of them. Well, welcome to your Fun Friend Friday. So I'm going to set it up a little bit here in just a minute. As everybody takes a minute, log in, say hello. And today you got to hit the share button. Today you got to hit the share button because I got a guest. And that's what we do. It's courtesy. You know, you save the best meat for your guest. Well, save the best share for your guest. Good morning, Glinda. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Jean. I saw somebody else jumping in. Good morning, Edward. So it's Friday, first full week of school complete. Lord, I gotta tell you, I am worn out, broken down, busted up, trying to get them out the door in the morning and getting on to life. But they have had a fantastic first week. They've been coming back from school, telling me all the big adventures they're planning for the week ahead. So it has been a good week, and I hope it's been a great week for you. And that's why we love Fun Friend Friday, because it's just fun and easy. We have Cambodia in the house. Good morning, Al. I know we have Dubai in the house. I see that we have Virginia in the house, Canada in the house, or Canada. Is it Canada with a K this week? Good morning, Mark, from Atlanta as well. So, Fun Friend Friday, because we got to dive in. We got to get it done because my guest is phenomenal. Though he's got a spelling issue, but we'll go over that later. So, Fun Friend Friday, it's where I invite a friend, a guest, a speaker, or somebody that I have learned or been impacted by, that I want to have a chance to allow you to be impacted by. And so this is sort of, let me get to dig deeper into them, and then you get to experience it and see it, and you also get to learn and grow from them, and we have the Fun Friend Friday game. So let me do this. My guest today is Edward Reid. He is a John Maxwell coach, trainer, and speaker, has worked in education and corporate America for over 20 years and brings that knowledge, that leadership with him into those environments. He's a grower, he's a thinker, he's a doer. And recently he's kind of had a life shift. And so an awareness moment. And so I'm hoping you'll really dig in and listen. I'm going to hit the live invite button. If you've never done one of these Fun Friend Fridays, or if you've never done, good morning, Thomas. Everybody give a shout out, give a share out to my friend Edward, who will be joining us in just a moment. So I'm just going to do an IT thing so you can all learn to do this and grow yours. I always have both phones this way, not this way, because otherwise somebody ends up square in the corner. Make sure that your phone is this way before you start the live feed and before you ask the other person to share or tune into the live feed. Then you simply wait until they come on screen. You reach up in the corner, you hit invite, bring Edward on to guest. Message saying you've been invited, you've been invited, you've been invited, you've been invited. And boom, there he is. That is the modern technology. The fun thing is we have done Fun Friend Friday locally, internationally, and now one more time we have succeeded. So are we all good on your side, Edward? Here's the other trick. When you ask the first question, do like that. So if they can't hear you, they can do a thumbs down. We good, Ed? You're free. Your screen kind of froze.
All right, looks like we are froze. Okay,
there you go.
Can you hear me now?
You're good. You're
okay.
Good. So everybody, please give a hand up, a shout out, a smiley face, a dancing, whatever you want to call it, emoji to my friend Edward Reid.
All right, I'm gonna hold this thing. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
I am good. See, I know everybody always struggles with the technology because that's our natural fear thing, is to find something to fiddle and get scared with and get nervous around. And so you're good. You look good. You sound good. So now you got to teach.
Hey, let's dive in, man.
So, I always tease Edward because he spells his name wrong. That's all I'm going to say. We're not going to tease on that. But what I do know is he's smarter, he's wiser, he's bigger, he's better than me. So I'm going to let him do it his way, and I'll do it my way, and hopefully we'll all figure it out in the end. So you just came back from IMC.
Right, I did. And for those of you who don't know what IMC is the International Maxwell Certification Program.
And this is your what, fifth? Because you've been in since like 2015 or something, haven't
Yeah,
you?
2015.
So now, for the, as you said, those that don't know what IMC is, it's when about 3,000, 4,000 John Maxwell thinkers, doers, planners, believers walk into a room and then they catalyze and create and mastermind and grow and get poured into and pour into each other. Dennis LaRue says you're his wingman. So
That's
let
right.
me
That's
ask,
my main man, Dennis LaRue.
because if, like me, when I finish the day at IMC or I finish part of the afternoon, I always find some corner to go back and go, ugh, that one hurt, or that lesson really stood in my face, or man, they must have known I was coming. What was that known I was coming moment? Like when you heard it from the stage or from somebody else and you were like, man, I got to take that home. I've been hiding from that.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you. Hey, and first of all, Eric, let me just say thank you for inviting me on this show with you. And even though you spell your last name wrong, we'll deal with that later. It is that I might be bigger than you physically, but man, you got it. I'm trying to learn and grow so I can help others
Okay,
like you're
let's
doing.
pour into people. Let's not pour into me. Let's
So,
pour into people.
but
What
but
was
here's
that
the deal.
moment?
So that takeaway, right? That one moment, it was really at the end when John unveiled his newest initiative to help kids with the focus on the middle school students. And he shared, although he said that one of his most powerful pieces of work was his leadership Bible, which I keep here on my desk with all my go-to things. But he unveiled the curriculum that they've been working on, and then he charged us with working with the youth. And so that takeaway he was that when we invest in our youth, we're going to get a longer return on our investment than we do on anything else. Because we're in this business and we help people, but a lot of the people that we help, they're adults. And some of them are older adults by the time they finally get this leadership stuff. But if we can work and all the skills that we have and we invest in those middle school age kids and teach them how to be leaders and help them facilitate growth and leadership amongst their peers around the areas of values, then we can really transform the world in a remarkable way. So although everything was great, my major takeaway was the long-term return on the investment by building up youthful leaders who will go out and create other leaders.
So my question on that is, often we're called into a moment or like something hits us because, as you said, the return on the investment. Man, I missed the opportunity to buy Apple when it was only $2 a share. I'm not going to miss that opportunity now. When you heard John speak from the stage and said, I have this opportunity in this little brown box waiting for you, what made you say, you know what, I'm not missing this opportunity? I blew it in the past. I missed it in the past. I was like, something had to call you into that. And often I think it comes from a feeling that we've been sort of, hiding back from in the past.
Right. And so I guess I would say what did it for me, that piece that called me in, is really aligned with my values and my core beliefs. Right. And that my value, I put God, for those of you listening, I'm a man of faith. I respect everybody, but my value of God. And when I think about my purpose, I know I'm only going to walk this earth for a certain short period of time. And so when I look at my values and I look at what do I care about the most, it is following that commitment, that commandment to love God, but love others. Right? And what better way to demonstrate love, or what better way to love than to demonstrate love? And we demonstrate love through our actions. And we go back, and I follow Christ, and when Christ talked about the work with the children, and when the disciples would say, "Oh no, you're bothering him, you kids, you got to move, trying to move the kids," and he said, "Let the kids come to me." Nothing else was more important than let the kids come to me. He said, "Woe to anyone who harms a hair on a child." So what does that tell me, Eric? Everything that I've gone through in life, everything that you've gone through in life, everything that we have done has prepared us for this moment in time right now. What better time is it than to pull together the collective wisdom of leaders all around the world and invest in our children from a global peace to create a movement that hits a critical mass at the global level when we talk about values with kids. Because, oh man, I don't want to start preaching to you, man, but
I
I'll
was going,
probably
woo!
be ready for your next
Now you
question.
know why he gets a double E, because it's like, woo! Now, here's my question. Well, first I want to point out a couple things, because we just don't talk. We learn, we grow. Did you notice that he said, I know what my core values are, and when after 3 days, I don't know, 40 plus hours of teaching and pouring into and people and conversations and opportunities, when he had experienced 3 days of very intense pouring in, he heard his core values being spoken from a stage, and he was pulled into it. So one, by knowing his core values, he only listened to the message that aligned with it and not some of the other distractions that could have pulled away from it. And because he knew his core values so well, and he knew that what was being said aligned with it so clearly, he couldn't stay in his seat.
That's so
so
true.
what I want to encourage you guys is, we get caught chasing rabbits down holes that have no business belonging to us. As our friend Becky Spieth said, that's not your divine appointment. It belongs to somebody else. We do so because we are uncertain of our core values. We lack certainty in who we are and what our mission is. And as Ed said, his mission is to be Christ-like and love children. And he was handed a tool to
And this
follow
is the
that
tool.
mission.
Eric, I'm going to show you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get somebody to
taking the
find one in a
tool.
leftover box and ship it.
Hey, Eric, you know what? We'll talk offline so I don't get in trouble on tape. Here's the plastic. But Eric, I want to show you something.
I want to go. I want to sort of roll back and then roll forward a little. Now that you've been given the tool, and we all get these tools all the time, like here's this book, here's this webinar, here's this download, here's this PDF. Why do you believe that you're going to be able to implement it? And then how are you going to hold yourself accountable to the implementation?
Great question. So number one, let's go back to the first question, right? And that is, why do I know that I'll be able to implement it? Did I get that right, or I'm off?
You're good. Yeah. Why do you know, or why do you know you're going to implement it? And then how are you going to hold yourself accountable to that?
Fantastic. I know I'm going to implement it, Eric, because I don't believe in happenstance. I don't believe in, what do you call it, coincidences. I believe in divine alignment and intervention. I believe in the law, those universal laws, and I won't get into all of it right now. So everything, man, everything that I've been going through, even in the last 8 weeks, and Dennis LaRue was on there, he could tell you a phone call he and I had, and a student walks up to me, and that's another conversation, but I watch those things align, and so I know I'm going to do it, because I've already seen the vision of the impact and the results of what's going to happen once it's done. See, it doesn't take a whole lot of people to rub 2 rocks together to create a spark. All you need is a few people sparking a few rocks before we get a fire.
Okay, I want to stop you for a sec, because I don't want these teaching moments to get away. I know it is going to be because I've seen it finished. Is that what you said?
That's what I said. I've already seen it finished.
So often we jump into the next project, the next idea, the next thing, the next whatever at the beginning line, and we hope that as it opens, we'll figure out what to do with it. What Ed has said is, I know what it's going to look like done. So the only thing I've got to do now is figure out the path between here and there.
Absolutely.
He's already seen a child impacted, a school system changed, kids standing up and saying, nah, that's not me. Don't bully me. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know my value. Because of this material, because of his input. Now he's got to figure out how to make it happen. And that's really the accountability piece. So how are you going to be held accountability, or what are you building already as the path to accountability besides Dennis? Because, Dennis, he's easy. He just says, oh, you can have a day off, get another ice cream.
No. Dennis is a wingman. See, when you got a wingman, accountability, right, Eric? Accountability. When you got a wingman, that means you share the cockpit. And see, your wingman is not going to let you crash the plane because they're riding in the plane with you. All right? Just like I would not let Dennis crash the plane as his wingman because I'm not trying to crash. And so let me show you what that accountability looks like. One, I'm very guarded to who I share the vision with because there's some energy that I don't allow to orbit in my world. So that's number one. Number two, the seeds have already been planted. See, all this stuff here, man, this is the fertilizer for the seed that's been planted a long time ago.
Oh, I gotta stop because there's like there's 3 lessons. I'm sorry, people. I gotta interrupt, and I'll be rude, and I'll do it for the sake of learning. First question is to all of you over there: is your wingman wearing a parachute? Like, have you hired on a wingman that like straps on the parachute at the beginning of the vision? That when it starts to go rocky and rough, and there's a chance it's gonna crash, they bail and leave you to deal with the problem? Because I've seen it, I know it, I felt it, I've been there. And you just pointed out that I have been riding with wingmen that put on parachutes before we even leave the ground. So you better check that. Check who your wingman is and make sure they haven't strapped on a life jacket, a parachute, an oxygen tank, and a space shuttle behind them. 2, I hold my vision before the tools and resources appear. I've been planning and working and designing this impact in my mind, and the universe, in this case John, brought me just one more tool to make it happen. And so often we go out and we start chasing off this idea or that idea, like it's going to be the thing that's going to catapult us. And what Ed said is, no, I already knew where I was going. I might not have gotten there as quickly, but I was going there. This just helps me get there bigger, faster, larger, taller, whatever. I love that. I love the idea that it is the thing. If you're in alignment with your goals, if you're in alignment with your vision, if you're in alignment with your core values, if you know who and what you are, and you bring in the right people to ride beside you, and you share that with only people that vibrate at equal energy, resources come. Resources are dropped from you in little brown boxes from the stage that you didn't even know was going to be there until you got there. Sorry, I love that. Now, we're going to have to check if Dennis has a parachute. You're going to have to be like, take it off, buddy. Either in or out.
I could tell you. See, but now, Eric, I'm going to go back to something you said earlier. You talked about, you said, how long have I been doing this? And see, Eric, Dennis and I dove in together. And when we were brand new rookies, I posted a message, hey, anybody want to be joining us and have an accountability group? I got one response. I wasn't worried that we would get one response.
So here's what's probably, I could see it because you were like walking out of IMC number 101. Like you were like barely figured out how to spell.
It was before IMC. We even got to IMC, man. We were on a 90-day call with Dexter.
And you said to all these people who have invested a stack of cash into IMC.
You ain't lying about that, brother.
Do you want somebody to help you bring a return on that investment? And I'm not going to say how many thousand people, but a lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't need accountability. Where are they today? How many of them made it back into the room, so to speak?
And you got to be in the room. I was in the room, man. So let me go back to answering this other question about accountability, implementation and accountability. Because one of the things that Mark Cole would say, you remember when John launched Intentional Living, and he asked, what makes you cry, right? I'm going to tell you what makes me cry is every time I sit down with a student who's contemplating taking their life. That makes me cry. You see, let's get real for a second, Eric. It's not about how successful my business can be. It's not about how much money I can make. It's about how many lives I can save. Right? Now, in my line of work, over the last 20 years, when I've sat down, Eric, I'm telling you, when I've sat down for 20 years, 21 years, working with students, those who have attempted suicide, counseling kids and families after someone has committed suicide, and then working with little kids. Eric, I'm talking about, I worked with a little 2, 3 years ago. I had an 8th grade girl who came to me and she said, "Hey, Mr. Reid, look, I know you're really cool. I need you to talk to my friend." I said, "Bring her in." She said, "But we got to be low key." I said, "Yeah, girl, I got you. Bring her on in." And we sat down in this very office that I'm sitting in right now. And the girl began to speak. She said, "Well, Mr. Reid, she started saying, I got this other friend. And we got to set the room where we bring the environment to a calm, peaceful environment where you feel safe." And then I began to allow myself to be used by the God that I serve. Because it's not about me, man. I got problems. But the God that I serve worked through me. And following the Holy Spirit, I said, "Sweetie, how long have you been cutting?" And then she told me. Then I said, "Can I see?" And this little girl, who came from an affluent family, rolled up her sleeves. And I see her arms all cut up, little slits all across both arms. And as the tears formed in my eyes, because each one of those marks reflect the society that we're living in. And so how do I know I'm going to implement it? Because I don't like the way it makes me feel to read about a kid who committed suicide. I don't like the way I feel when I look at these children who are chased. They have shiny syndrome, right? Shiny object syndrome, as Paul would say. But what happened, I don't blame the children. I ask accountability. That's me and you, brother. We're the adults. We can't talk about, well, these kids. We can't blame the millennials for living in a world that we created for them. So as I get the other half of life, man, like I said, I've already seen it done because I refuse to accept the reality that someone else has created, but to create a new reality for a new generation so that they can be equipped to create a reality for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So it's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than you and those of us on this call. So how do I know this thing's going to work out? Because God would not have given John the vision and give him the career to have the notoriety and the insight and the relationship. You got to have a relationship with God. It's not just about practicing some religion. And so I have to be a good steward of the resources, and I got to be a good farmer in the field. So we got to pull up the weeds. We got to sprinkle the fertilizer so we can get the harvest so we can feed the people.
Guys, like, I can't even begin to summarize that because I'm still processing it. So I'm going to tell you, we're at like 20 minutes in. Go back, fast forward, and get over that 20-minute piece and just dig back into that, because there were so many things that I heard and I learned. One, he had seen the pain of it not being done. And instead of focusing on the big shiny object standing on the stage impacting thousands of kids and being world famous, Dr. Phil kind of moment, he went back and said, I can't allow this pain to exist any longer if I have a way of stopping it. And so often in our vision questing and our dream building and our need to transform, we think of what it's going to look like when it's big and glorious, and we don't attach to that the same way we often attach to pain, because we all live in some kind of pain. We may not be cutting, we may not be causing, having suicidal tendencies or putting ourselves at risk like some of the youth that Ed works with, but we all have a moment of pain that we can connect to. And if we can connect that pain to another person's pain and then say, I've been given by divine right a tool to eliminate that pain in the world, I can't but do it. Because if somebody had eliminated my pain, where would I be? And so now I've been told and charged, and he used the term steward with eliminating the pain of others, not making big happy children dancing with unicorns and cotton candy and bubblegum every day on the playground. He doesn't need that. What he needs to know is that someone doesn't walk through the day in pain when he had the tool to take the pain away. And I think that is probably why I've been in foster care services for 20 plus years. You and I could
I
share
didn't know.
stories, and one of us would win and the other one would cry. The idea is bigger than you, not because it becomes from divine or because it's going to change generations or your great grandchildren, but because the pain, that moment of pain that that little girl, that first moment of pain when she says, I'm not worthy, and she made that first cut, the second, the third, the 10th, the 20th, that wasn't the moment. The moment was when she decided that she wasn't worth joy. Instead, her life should be built on pain. That's the moment that Ed wants to be able to go back and stop from happening. He wants to pull any and all children and adults, coincidentally, out of that moment of saying, I'm not worthy. Because I believe, and I know Ed believes, that we're all worthy.
Absolutely. Now, Eric, let me show you this, and I know that our time is getting tight. If I was on my board and I was teaching right now, I would draw a circle and put a child, right? And I would put a hurting child. People who are hurt, sometimes they hurt themselves, they implode, but sometimes they explode. See, people in pain, right? People in pain can produce pain for other people. And so a kid who might not be suicidal can become homicidal. And you watch the ripple effect.
Pain never operates in isolation. We never receive pain internally. It's always because of an external force or a comparison or something externally causes us to shift from love to pain, from joy to hurt. And when we receive that pain, however it begins to manifest externally and become internal, we have to figure out, do we bury it and hold it, or do we return it? And so you're right, children will implode or they'll explode, but they are not going to become, I mean, all energy has to go somewhere somehow. And so if a child receives enough pain, they're going to decide, I'm just going to bury myself so far under the ground, I'll take it with me and not hurt and harm anybody else, or they're going to take it out into the world and find a way of returning it to where it came. And so you're right, they don't do it in isolation.
And so what we have to be able to do, we have an opportunity, man. We have, all of us, collectively, as the adults. We are those elders, man. You know, when you talk about the elders, well, look in the mirror, though, because we can't talk about what the generations did before us. We can't blame our parents. We have to take responsibility. And so I love John's series, these first 4 units. I choose, right? And it's about teaching the children. The good book says, bring up a child in the way they should go. You know, and so I had this reflection real quick, and that was, well, Ed, what about your kids? Are your kids perfect? I said, oh, absolutely not. They got Ed Reid as a father. So what do I know, though? I said, but they live in a community. And see, in the community, in our global tribe, and some of you who have experienced parents, you might know of the parent-child syndrome, and that is, you can tell your kid something, and they'll say, and then somebody will say the exact same thing, and they'll say, hey, Pop, let me tell you what I heard. And I'm like, yeah, didn't I say it? Well, no, Pop, you didn't quite say it that way. And what I'm saying to you is that the impact of community. And so why is this so important? Because it is our responsibility this time, right now, in the present. We can't be prisoners of our past. And we can't get lost in the vision of the future, but we have to be active in the present.
Brilliant. We got to do the Fun Friend Friday or we will disappoint. So I don't know if you have, whoops, I got to get my props. There we go. I got props. So we all know what are you about to do now, Nathan Cook. I'm surprised he's not on here. We'll have to yell at him. Dennis LaRue, you can take care of that for us. Whoops, there's my props. And so Nathan was not the originator, but he was the first of the Fun Friend Friday people. And so what we have a series of envelopes, and I'll go over those here in just a minute. Each envelope contains a word, typically a word that I pulled from a reading, a teaching, a word that I use. So words like legacy, trade-offs, priorities, curiosity, persistence. We take one of these words, and the night before Fun Friend Friday comes up, my son, who listens to other people more often than he listens to me, stuffs the envelope. And then you get to pick an envelope. And when you pick the envelope, you get to do like a minute with Maxwell moment from the envelope. So we have blue diamond, yellow moon. I need an assistant.
This is good, Eric.
I need a banner. Pink heart, green clover, red balloon, rainbow, and orange star. Now don't pick yet, because some people may not realize those are the Lucky Charm symbols, but teaching moment, because when you do Facebook Live, things always show up backwards. If I had written 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the envelopes, it would have been backwards and it would have been bad TV. So symbols work better on Facebook Live. And now we got our song.
Thank you for being a friend.
Hey, you good, buddy. You good. Hey, Joseph, good to see your comments, man. I like those comments, Joseph, that you're putting out there.
You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, you would see the biggest gift would be from me. And the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
You're dating us, man. You're dating us.
So first, thank you for being a friend on Fun Friend Friday. What envelope have you picked?
I'm going with the blue diamond because diamonds are made out of a lot of pressure.
Okay,
and it takes time.
So you have to entertain for a minute.
Yeah, you try. Hey, I love to. So, guys, folks. All right, we're back. You got it.
It's live TV. As long as I love it, man.
Hey guys, this is great, isn't it? Make sure you share this with your friends. All right, Eric, I'm ready.
Take them, yeah, do, because I think first, yes, share it, because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of parents, there's a lot of school teachers and educators and other fellow JMTers that are needing to just hear it. I mean, let's be honest.
And their parents with kids.
Parents with kids. Oof, Lord, I may need to go back and listen to it just for me. So your chosen word, and I always have to do this in the Steve Harvey way, that, you know, like I have to pull it out where everybody can see it, so there's no like confusion. So I am Miss America 2011. No, I'm sorry, that was last week. Your word is sacrifice.
Whoa, sacrifice. Sacrifice.
Keep saying it.
I'm with you, Eric. I'm going to talk about sacrifice then, right? When we talk about sacrifice, I got to move in my office. I'm going to show you something. So when we talk about sacrifice, I'm going to zoom in this picture for a second. You can't see that, but this is a picture, and this is my great-great-great-grandmother. This is my grandmother's mother, and this is their graduating class from 1914 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, you think about what America was like in 1914, and you think about what the South was like in 1914. And when you have about 25 people going to get a degree in education, and the sacrifice they made, and the lack of resources they had, but they were plugged in to the ultimate power generator, our good Lord, that gave them the energy to make the sacrifice so that 100 years later, I could go through, and I'll show you this, and it's not about my degrees, but I just want to show you 2014, 100 years later, that a great-grandson could go to Johns Hopkins and get a degree. But guess what, folks? It's not about me. Because sacrifice is following the example of a Christ who sacrificed his life to take all the pain that we hold and said, if you come with me, I'll give you a new life. If you follow me, he said, bring to me your heavy burdens so that we can have a relationship. And so what do I learn from that? What is the application? You can jot this one down, Eric. I'll share it with you. KA squared, knowledge acquisition and application. KA squared.
Joe,
I've
K-A
learned
squared.
KA squared. So sacrifice to me, it's about love. And the ultimate love, and when we really love others, we don't worry about ourselves, but we take action. We don't worry and play the head game. We play move the feet game. We take action to help improve the quality of life for those that we know and those that we don't know. So I'm going to encourage you guys on Fun Friends Friday.
It's a twister.
What sacrifices have been made for you? And and if there's none, if you say, no, nobody ever sacrificed anything for me, well, guess what? Now you got the opportunity to change the game. What sacrifices will you make to improve the lives of others underneath your sphere of influence? Let's go out and sacrifice today to make the world a better place tomorrow.
I love that, and I love your great granny to you, the 2014, and I can only imagine, because this can only imagine, it can't experience it, what it must have been like to be a woman in 1814,
a black woman, 1914,
a black woman, a woman of color in Knoxville, Tennessee, in 1914. Didn't want to age her. No, 1814. I'm sorry, 1814.
No, 100 years ago.
100 years ago. Sorry, my math is just messed up this morning.
Right.
I need to go back.
I still love you, brother.
A woman of color in Knoxville, Tennessee, in the South before 1961. Let's remember, like that was a year. She was like 50 years prior to that saying, I'm going to go up. I'm not going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And that because that DNA was planted, and I think that there's sort of like spiritual DNA versus biological DNA, because that spiritual DNA was planted in your family's tree, you had no other choice but to live it out. So many lessons. Man, I'm going to be busy all day long reading and stealing information from this. The spiritual DNA that you're planting today may not manifest for 100 years, or it may manifest tomorrow. But I always think of sacrifice as not giving up, but going up, going the second mile, so to speak. I so honor you and your commitment to education, that explosion of spiritual DNA that your great granny planted some 100 years ago in the value of education, and understanding that it would require a great deal that I can't even begin to think into for her to get that. But she must have been a tremendous woman of faith that said, I can't give up. I got to go up, and I got to trust up, and I got to look up, and I got to keep on going up, because this is bigger than me. This is about women and women of color and my children and my grandchildren and all of that. I can't understand. And she probably, I'm sure she wanted to give up, but she didn't. Mm-hmm. And now look at it. You're going to save a child's life.
Right.
You're going to remove pain from the world.
And Eric, so look at it this way, man. It is that in her time and place of history, and all of the folks, and sacrifice were those parents who went through her parents Sacrifice. So now I want you to see, because some people might be listening, and you got people who say, oh, my situation. And they complain about their circumstances in life. They complain about how life has been unfair. They complain about what everybody else is doing to them. But let us be clear. You have access and the opportunity to make choices. See, Eric, I call that my no excuses picture. When I'm ready to get frustrated, I just look over it and say, hey, Granny, great grandma. And I say, Ed, shut up. Ed, shut up.
What was her name? What was
All
her
right,
name?
Aura. We call her Mama Aura. Aura Null.
Aura,
O-R-A.
like in the energy surrounding a person?
Well, I never thought about it that way. That's pretty cool. I have to bring that back to the family. But it's O-R-A, Aura. Aura Null.
Mama O.
Mama O, yeah. And what happens, though, if you think about, you, Eric, you said before 1961, how often in 2018 do we allow ourselves to be the victims of the excuses that are floating around in the universe to knock you off your tracks? And so we have to be very intentional. We have to be very focused to go out and do what the Lord has put on our hearts to do, with trust and faith that we will be equipped with the resources to do the work that he said to do. Right? I mean, John had no idea that, hey, Ed, you do this for a living, you work with young people, you and all that stuff. God told him, hey, man, John, use your influence and make the resources, put them into people's hands. Because, Eric, guess what? It doesn't cost anybody anything, because the John Maxwell Leadership Foundation has gifted it to the world.
I love that.
Right?
You have been, I've got to tell you, so this is what I do, just in case y'all want to know. I take Fun Friend Friday and then I go off in a corner by myself for about an hour and I replay it and I like start stealing notes and I start pulling down information, because sometimes it's hard to catch it all when you're like in the moment on the other half of the screen. I'm telling you guys, if you waste this opportunity to go back and dial into what he was teaching, I'm going to be hurt. I'm just going to be personally offended. There are so many big rocks that were dropped for us to pick up and look at and examine, of wisdom and education and value. His perspective is not my perspective, and that's what I love about doing Fun Friend Friday and connecting. I have gotten so much from this morning's lesson. Ed, you're a little half off screen, so turn your,
there you go.
I think you have to go stage right. There you go.
All right.
I've gotten so much from you, so much from you this morning. And I thank Mama O for planting that spiritual DNA in you that is going to go out today and impact students, change students, take pain out of the world and bring joy and love into it. So thank you, Mama O, if I may have the privilege of calling her that.
Absolutely.
And thank you for carrying that vision, that mission, that spirit forward. You, my friend, are amazing.
Hey, Eric, thank you so much. And if we could just, if I could just share a quote that's posted on my wall, because I'm gonna give you last nugget, man, last nugget. I'll bring it all together. Some of you might have saw that picture on the wall, this one right here. You see my grandmother over here, right? Now I'm going to share something with you. Here's a quote by Martin Luther King that's underneath the picture. The ultimate measure of a leader, the ultimate measure of leaders is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. So in my office, where the energy, where I orbit, right? So you think about, here's the lesson. Here you go. So in my space where I do this work, I have to set up the atmosphere. And so I have my piece of leadership one spot. I have ancestors and families and workers and knowledge in another spot. I have perseverance and the degrees in training. I have a white space to project and to teach. And I have things that represent many different cultures so that everybody knows everybody's included. It's not a black thing. It's not an American thing. It's a global thing. And so I want to encourage you, Eric. Thank you, man, for allowing me to be a guest on your show. And I want to encourage everybody who's listening to this, dive in and not just this Friday, but dive in. And if your schedule has a conflict, that's why there's a recording. Go back and digest this and then share it with other people. Because in order to raise the level of consciousness globally, we have to individually raise our level of consciousness and then come together. Thank you, Eric, for allowing me to be with you this morning.
I just want to do a quick, but I'm not foolish. Like, there were 10 pieces that I had to go into off that, but I am not a fool. I am not going to try and out-wisdom Martin Luther. I got some.
But you can add, but you know what, Eric? But you know what? It's not about out-wisdom them. I can't even say the word, right? We can't out-wisdom a wise man or a wise woman, but we can stand on their shoulders because they sacrificed their lives so that we could stand on their shoulders, and the next one coming up after us, they won't out-wisdom us, but they'll add wisdom to us.
Ooh. See, you guys, this is too much. We should go on for the rest of the day. My gosh, we cannot out-wisdom. We can only take what they've planted and expand on it. And you're phenomenal. You're phenomenal. I wish we could do this for 10 hours, but then everybody would be exhausted. I want you guys to please do you have any, this is a self-promotion piece. Do you have any webinars, seminars, masterminds coming up that you want to invite people to check into?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm actually getting ready to do, I'm going to make a quick comment real quick on here. And that is, so real quick, remember I told you about KA squared, right? That's a book I'm working on, and that's knowledge acquisition and application. So here's what's coming down for me. It's I'm going to stay alert. I will be doing a 15 Laws of Growth mastermind.
Yeah,
right? And I'm going to do that. We're going to do that in October. All right. We're good there. So I'm going to start that in October. We're going to do a 15 is going to be the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And then it's going to be probably a 5-week or 6-week mastermind. I'll put more information out on social media. The other thing, oh my God, I know we don't have time to talk about this, but Eric, as you know, 8 weeks ago, and everyone listen, I want to be real clear with you because this is very important to me. 8 weeks ago, I had a mini stroke. I had what's called a TIA. And so I've been on this wellness journey because I know God needs me to tune this instrument up because he has work for me to do. And I want to tell everybody, I have a group called 2018 Summer Wellness and Self-Care. See, if we're going to do the work, we got to keep the tools sharp.
Ooh.
And so we're there. Thank you, Joseph. So yeah, go on the Facebook, search 2018 Summer Wellness Group. There are 3 questions that you have to ask before I approve you to join the group. And I'll tell you the first one. I promise not to solicit people in the group. But the rest, the other one is, and the other 2 questions, what wellness or self-care areas do you want to work on? And what will you contribute? We're not having a picnic where you just bring your appetite. Everybody brings a dish. It doesn't have to be the main course. You can bring some napkins.
Mac and cheese.
There it is. But you got to watch all that pasta. All right, nevertheless, but that's what's up, Eric. I have the 15 Laws of Growth Mastermind. It's going to start in October. This weekend, I'll put out the dates. And then the other piece, which is complimentary because it's me giving back to the universe because, man, I'm in better shape and all of that. That's another show, another time. But if you scroll through the page, you can see some of the things. Join the Summer Wellness and Self-Care group. I'm going to extend that summer past the summer because imagine you got all this knowledge and you're ready to apply it, and then you have a stroke or a heart attack. You can't do much work, and let's say you don't recover. Ambitions and richness die with you in the grave. So take care of yourself.
wouldn't that just anger God? It's like I put all these tools and you go out and get yourself drunk, smoke cigarettes, and eat bad food, and I can't have you fulfill what I set you out to do because you were working against me. Whew. I better fit. Wait a sec.
All right, while he's going to
I
grab
just want you
something.
to know you inspired me because this is my beet juice banana smoothie. And by the way, bananas and beet juice, they're not bad together.
When we get off the phone,
See?
I'm gonna make my breakfast.
This is what old men Reid do. We drink beet juice and banana smoothies and our protein drinks so that we can go out and finish the mission that we have been called into. So,
Thank you, Joseph.
y'all, check in. Are you shortchanging God by not being ready to live the mission he told you got to do?
And he will hold you accountable.
By going to Olive Garden and getting the double dip.
Yeah. And the good Lord will say, well, what did you do with the things I gave you? You can't say, hey, God, I got tied up, man, in the hospital, stroking out.
At Brewster's ice cream.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, well, I'm going to tell you this last thing, man. And that is, even though you spell the last name wrong, we can agree that the initials are a blessing. Because when you think about ER, right? Man, we're working on the emergencies. We got to go into the emergency room and perform. Saving lives, man.
Well, again, everybody, please take a moment. This isn't selfish. This isn't self-promotion. Take a moment and share it. There is somebody somewhere that needs to get in the middle of this message, the beginning, the end, the start, the finish, the word. Like Ed said, he had been sitting at John Maxwell for over 3 days, getting lots of wisdom, getting lots of notes. But when one thing hit, he was called to his feet and called to the front of the room to take action on it. And so you never know what happens in an environment like this once you release it and what the impact will be. So I'm asking and encouraging and begging you guys, take a moment, share this out, and then jump over and follow, like, tag, message, friend, my good friend Edward Reid, because this man's smart. This man's smart.
I'm just trying to be that river, man. I'm trying to be the river. The water comes through the stream. It goes to the river, and it runs through me because I'm not the water. I'm just running through me, man, running throrough me. I've been blessed.
I was a little worried. I set my beet juice down, and I was afraid it was going to fall off the stool, and that would be a mess of a day.
No, hey, Eric, we got to give a shout out to Joseph because Joseph is he's putting in notes.
Joseph is an amazing note taker. I almost feel like he could have a job on Fiverr or Upload or Updesk or whatever it is doing live transcriptions because he's amazing.
Hey, thank
you,
Joseph.
All the clutter and makes it a sentence.
Everybody has a gift, man.
Yeah, Joe. I love when Joe comes because I look so much smarter when Joe comes in the room because he takes all my clutter and makes it one really good sentence, and I look brilliant.
So hey,
I have got to wrap. Thank you. Pardon?
I said, you're having a party when you got many gifts all coming together.
Oh, I like that. Oh, see, y'all, too much wisdom. Well, we have to wrap Fun Friend Friday because Ed's got to go off and you're in school. Are the students back where you're at?
No, what we're doing, I'm going to be doing a lot of work to planning, behind the scenes. I'm going to give a plug for school counselors around the country, around the world, is a lot of times they're the people who are working behind the scenes to do the best that they can to work out conflicts. And they do more than just scheduling. They're putting together programs. Like today, I'll be working on a school-wide wellness program for staff and students. And so most of my day will be focused on that. And then going through, I have I get a chance to lead the department. So I'll make sure everybody's doing okay. As a leader, I'm not checking on them. I'm going to resource them to make sure that they have what they need to do the work that they're tasked to do.
Well, and I just want to extend a thank you to all of the teachers, all of the counselors, even the bus drivers and the crosswalk people, and all of those people who commit to serving our kids during the school year and even during the off-school year, even the school secretary. I remember back in my day, the school secretary, you'd walk in and she always was smiling and happy, and no matter what the problem was, it was like mom away from home. So thank you all of those who participate in our education system, especially, you guys got a tough job, but I'm glad you're there because I couldn't do it. So
Yeah.
thank you for guiding and leading
Thank
them and
you.
giving them the space to do what they passionately love to do in a way that's encouraging and uplifting.
All right. Well, thank you.
We're gonna close out here, but we always have to close out with the. Don't you love this song?
That is so funny. I do.
Thank you for being a friend today on
Being
Fun Friend Friday. You have been a blessing. You have been a teacher. You have been a wisdom. You have been so much. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day today to jump in and join me and share with everybody else. Everybody give him a big thank you, Ed. Hand clap
thank you, Eric.
and happy dance.
All right,
I
there
will
it is.
upload this here in just a moment, everybody. And thank you again. And yes, I know Dennis has probably already messaged me about getting in and getting involved because you know my heart and we share it together. So I will talk to you probably offline very soon. To everybody else, go out and have a fantastic weekend. You are worthy of success. It has been gifted and already granted to you by the great divine, and it is yours to drink in and to live fully, and you are worthy of it. I will see you Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Until then, be blessed. Thank you, Ed.
Be blessed. Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
All right.